Hello, one and all. We are Industrial Team 5, and we have worked with the sponsor, Auto BIM Route AI. And the project that we worked on was the conversion of their desktop application to mobile application. uh, so basically, the problem statement in general was to convert desktop application to a mobile application, thereby providing some mobile mobility as well as provide that same functionality that they are having in their desktop application. So with this, I would like Viresh to present the mobile application that we have developed so far. So, Viresh, can you please take the floor?
Viresh, you are on mute.
Yes, so over here we have the repository open and we will start the emulator. And once the Android emulator is running, we go to the front end folder. And inside the front end folder, we run the npx expo start. And so we run it for the Android device and we wait for the project to be bundled. So after the bundling is done, we get this page over here. We have the front end and we have the button to select the file, and we'll show the rendering of the JSON file. So this is the intricate circuit board which is rendered, and each component is individually rendered. There is also a feature to scroll around and zoom in and zoom out. Uh, then we also have different types of routes being highlighted based on what kind and what work they are. So over here we can see the green highlighted routes. Um, yes, so that was our part in it.
Yeah. So, thank you, Viresh, for that. Now, let's move on to the next phase of the video, which is discussing the personal contributions that uh, each of the team members have done. So, let's start with Atharva. Could you tell your contributions?
Yeah, thanks, Rushabh. So, starting with the contributions from my side, I worked on the pre-processing file, the JSON file, which was needed pre-processing because the file we got from the sponsors was huge, and to display the routes or to display the map layout on our mobile application, it needed some pre-processing, and that's when I created a Python script to pre-process the JSON file. Also, secondly, I would like to mention the rendering of the routes, which required some brainstorming in order to uh, get the JSON data and get the appropriate coordinates out for the routes, which was done by me. And finally, I would like to mention the lazy loading part of things, which we didn't use, but it was kind of having a loading part for the batch rendering process of the electrical fixtures as well. So that was one trial from my end. Yeah, that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thanks, Atharva. Let's move on to Milind. What were your contributions?
So hi, yeah. So actually, I was like speaking about my individual contributions. So, so in one of the sprints, actually, we actually tried to research on this approach, which was called chunking. So since our JSON data set was actually very large, so what we did was we actually divided the JSON file into like four parts, I guess four parts, and then we try to we try to upload those chunks on AWS, and then try to fetch the chunks from there and render them individually, and then combine and then aggregate the renderings into our mobile application so that the rendering can be seen as a whole. So yeah, that was about chunking. Second was lazy loading. Second approach was one of the approaches was lazy loading. Lazy loading the component means it takes the entire JSON file and then just lazy loads, or like all the components are not loaded all at once. So you can see the components loading or rendering one by one. So that was the other approach, which was lazy loading. So also I worked on that, and also I worked on enhancing the UI of the application, like basically like the adding some scroll bars and beautifying the component so that the rendering is visible properly. I also added an event handler, which actually lets you pick sorry, not pick, no, it actually lets you pick a JSON file from your local file explorer on your laptop. So yeah, those were my contributions for the overall project. Thank you.
Thanks, Milind. Let's move on to Siddharth. What were your contributions?
Yeah, thank you, Rishabh. So talking about my individual contributions, like I basically researched on how we could fetch such a large amount of data like from a third-party storage instead of fetching it locally, since it was taking a lot of loading time. So one way we were able to achieve this grid rendering was by like deploying the pre-processed JSON file onto AWS S3 bucket, and then in this manner we were also able to achieve the rendering. And apart from that, primarily worked on the generation of the routes data and like added a small picker functionality through which we could select the routes file and we could generate the route data. Apart from that, I was thinking and I was working on like creating a sort of a pipeline that could like dynamically do all these standalone processes, like when an end user clicks on the file picker. So as we select the original JSON, it should call a maybe a sub process that like pre-processes the JSON, and then we are able to finally achieve the rendering of the grid. So yeah, that was primarily my contributions in this. Thank you.
Thanks, Siddharth. Let's move on to Viresh. Can you please tell us your contributions?
Yes, so I'd like to start with initially the JSON data. So once we had the JSON file, I worked on the file picker to pick the JSON file and check if the file picked is a valid JSON file. So in that, we had to check if the data was parsable and the data was sufficient enough or wasn't large enough to be parsed. And after that, after passing the pre-processed JSON data, I worked on storing the individual values for the rendering components. So these values could later on be rendered. So storing them with appropriate element IDs name. After that, I also worked on the path optimization, in which we got the XY components and using a type of LOD system, we were able to render the paths more efficiently. And moving on, I also worked on a little bit of research for the AWS part to render the SVG data, and also working on the pre-processing of why the pre-processing of JSON is required, the stack limitations which we were facing. And also, I conducted test cases which guided us to efficiently process the JSON file and also use appropriate pop packages for rendering.
Thanks, Viresh. Now I'll tell you my contributions for this particular project. So initially, we worked on the the web interface of the project, where I worked on the rendering of the entire map of the required for by the company. Apart from that, when we were required to move to the mobile environment, the native environment, we faced issues in the storage of those components. So there I worked along with some of the other team members on storing the data in a certain platforms such as MongoDB and Firebase. Though like the last solution that was used was not that. I worked on that. Apart from that, I also worked on the pre-processing of the data and storing that JSON file. Along with that, fetching the table data so as to populate the scheduled data table. uh, as for some other non-technical contributions to the project, I documented the entire progress of the project, thereby in the forms of minute of meetings. That concludes my contributions to the project. Is there anything that anyone wants to pitch in? Could maybe just let us know right now.
Just a small point, like I think we missed just a small research from a research point. We also like did a research to like render that grid in the form of a vectorized PDF. So we were also able to achieve that, and after that we were also able to achieve the convert the preprocessed JSON into an SVG format, and we were able to render that also. So yeah, that was just a small part I wanted to touch upon. So yeah.
Thanks, Siddharth, for that input. I think with this we can conclude this wrap up of the project and the video as a whole. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.